In the ever-complicated and dynamic world of international politics, few leaders have managed to garner as much attention and controversy as Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's recent visit to Mongolia has generated a whirlwind of discussions, debates, and diplomatic implications that go far beyond a simple state visit. This event is not just a mere meeting between two neighboring countries. It has become a focal point of geopolitical tension, international law, and the ever-present struggle between sovereignty and global accountability. Putin's visit to Mongolia. Context and background. To fully grasp the importance of Putin's visit to Mongolia, it's essential to consider the broader geopolitical landscape in which this visit took place. Russia and Mongolia share a long and complex history, one defined by cultural exchanges, periods of intense cooperation, and occasional tension. Mongolia, a landlocked country situated between two great powers, Russia and China, has always had to navigate a delicate balance in its foreign relations. In recent years, Mongolia has aimed to maintain friendly relations with both Russia and China, while pursuing a third neighbor policy to establish strong ties with countries beyond its immediate borders, such as the United States, Japan, and the European Union. Putin's visit, therefore, is not just a routine diplomatic engagement. It is an event that could potentially shift Mongolia's diplomatic balance, impacting its relations with Russia, China, and the broader international community. The international context, the ICC arrest warrant. Before delving into the visit itself, it is crucial to address the elephant in the room, the International Criminal Court's ICC arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. In March 2023, the ICC issued a warrant for Putin's arrest on charges related to war crimes, particularly in connection with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This marked a significant moment in international law, as it was the first time a sitting president of a major power faced such charges. The warrant placed countries around the world in a difficult position. As signatories to the Rome Statute, which established the ICC, nations are legally obligated to arrest and surrender individuals indicted by the court if they enter their territory. However, the reality of international relations often complicates this legal obligation. Nations must weigh their legal responsibilities against the potential diplomatic, economic, and security consequences of arresting a figure as powerful as Vladimir Putin. Mongolia's position on the ICC Mongolia is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, which means it is not legally bound to comply with the ICC's arrest warrants. However, Mongolia's decision not to arrest Putin during his visit has broader implications beyond its legal obligations. This decision sends a clear message about Mongolia's stance on international law, sovereignty, and its foreign policy priorities. Mongolia's decision to host Putin, despite the ICC warrant, can be seen as an assertion of its sovereignty and a reflection of its desire to maintain strong relations with Russia. The country's geographic and economic realities necessitate a careful balancing act. Russia is a crucial partner for Mongolia, both in terms of trade and energy supplies. Mongolia relies heavily on Russian energy imports, and any deterioration in relations with Russia could have severe economic consequences. Additionally, Mongolia's geographic location between Russia and China means that it cannot afford to alienate either of its powerful neighbors. The diplomatic fallout. Reactions from the West. The decision not to arrest Putin has, unsurprisingly, drawn criticism from the international community, particularly from Western countries and human rights organizations. These entities argue that Mongolia's actions undermine the authority of the ICC and contribute to the erosion of international norms regarding accountability for war crimes. Western nations, particularly those in the European Union and the United States, have expressed disappointment with Mongolia's decision. They argue that by not arresting Putin, Mongolia is effectively enabling Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine and signaling a disregard for international law. This criticism has the potential to strain Mongolia's relations with its third neighbors, particularly the United States and European Union, both of which are important partners for Mongolia in terms of trade, investment, and development aid. The impact on Mongolia-Russia relations. On the other hand, from the perspective of Mongolia-Russia relations, the visit was a success. By hosting Putin, Mongolia has likely strengthened its ties with Russia, securing continued cooperation on a range of issues, from energy supplies to regional security. Russia, for its part, has likely viewed Mongolia's decision not to arrest Putin as a sign of loyalty and a commitment to their bilateral relationship. This could lead to increased Russian support for Mongolia in international forums and potentially greater economic cooperation between the two countries. However, this closer relationship with Russia comes with risks. Mongolia's increased reliance on Russia could lead to a decrease in its diplomatic flexibility, making it more challenging to pursue the third neighbor policy. Moreover, by aligning more closely with Russia, Mongolia risks alienating other key partners, particularly in the West, which could have long-term economic and diplomatic consequences. The domestic perspective, public opinion in Mongolia. Domestically, the visit has been met with mixed reactions. On the one hand, some Mongolians see the visit as a necessary step to maintain good relations with a powerful neighbor. They argue that Mongolia must prioritize its national interests and security over international legal obligations, particularly when those obligations conflict with the country's economic and geopolitical realities. On the other hand, there is also significant concern among some segments of the population about the implications of hosting a leader indicted for war crimes. Critics argue that Mongolia's decision damages its international reputation and undermines its commitment to human rights and the rule of law. This tension between pragmatism and principles reflects the broader challenges that small nations like Mongolia face in navigating the complex web of international relations. The long-term consequences for Mongolia. The long-term consequences of Mongolia's decision not to arrest Putin are difficult to predict, but several potential scenarios are worth considering. First, Mongolia's decision could lead to a closer alignment with Russia, as discussed earlier. This alignment could bring short-term benefits, such as increased economic cooperation and security assurances. However, it could also limit Mongolia's diplomatic options and make it more dependent on Russia, which could be problematic if Russia's international isolation continues to grow. Second, Mongolia's relations with the West could be negatively impacted. While it is unlikely that Western countries would sever ties with Mongolia over this issue, there could be a cooling of relations, particularly in terms of diplomatic engagement and development aid. This could slow Mongolia's efforts to diversify its economy and reduce its reliance on Russia and China. Third, Mongolia's decision could set a precedent for other countries in similar situations. By refusing to arrest Putin, Mongolia has sent a signal that economic and geopolitical considerations can outweigh international legal obligations. This could encourage other countries to take similar stances, further weakening the authority of the ICC and complicating efforts to hold leaders accountable for war crimes. The global implications. What this means for international law. Mongolia's decision not to arrest Putin during his visit has significant implications for the future of international law and the ICC. The ICC has always faced challenges in enforcing its rulings, particularly when it comes to powerful states and their leaders. Mongolia's actions underscore the difficulties the ICC faces in holding leaders of major powers accountable, particularly when those leaders are supported by strong diplomatic and economic ties. This event could contribute to a broader trend of countries prioritizing their national interests over international legal obligations, further weakening the ICC's authority. If more countries follow Mongolia's example, the ICC could become increasingly marginalized, with fewer states willing to cooperate with its efforts to prosecute war crimes. This would represent a significant setback for the international justice system and could embolden leaders who commit atrocities, knowing that the likelihood of facing consequences is low. The role of regional dynamics. China's perspective. China, as Mongolia's other powerful neighbor, also plays a crucial role in this situation. While China has not publicly commented on Mongolia's decision regarding Putin's visit, its influence on Mongolian foreign policy cannot be ignored. China and Russia have been strengthening their ties in recent years, particularly in response to growing tensions with the West. Mongolia's decision to host Putin without arresting him could be seen as aligning with this broader trend of cooperation between China and Russia. For China, Mongolia's decision may be viewed as a positive development, as it helps to maintain regional stability and prevents any potential conflict with Russia that could arise from an arrest attempt. However, China will also be watching closely to see how this decision affects Mongolia's relations with the West, as any significant deterioration in those relations could have broader implications for regional dynamics. The potential for increased geopolitical tensions. Mongolia's decision could also contribute to increased geopolitical tensions in the region. The Asia-Pacific region is already a hotspot of geopolitical competition, with the United States, China, and Russia all vying for influence. Mongolia's actions could be interpreted by some as a sign of closer alignment with Russia, which could lead to a re-evaluation of US and Western engagement in the region. If Western countries perceive Mongolia as moving closer to Russia and away from its third neighbour policy, they may respond by increasing their diplomatic and military presence in the region, further escalating tensions. This could lead to a more polarised and unstable regional environment, with countries being forced to choose sides in the growing rivalry between the great powers. The ethical dilemma. Sovereignty versus international responsibility. At the heart of Mongolia's decision lies a profound ethical dilemma: the tension between national sovereignty and international responsibility. Mongolia, like any sovereign nation, has the right to determine its own foreign policy and to prioritise its national interests. However, in an increasingly interconnected world, where the actions of one country can have far-reaching consequences, there is also an argument to be made for upholding international norms and laws, particularly when it comes to issues as serious as war crimes. Mongolia's decision to prioritise its relationship with Russia over its potential international obligations raises important questions about the future of global governance. Can the international community effectively enforce accountability for war crimes if powerful states and their allies refuse to cooperate?